Good afternoon, Waller Group Superstars. Okay, today we're going to go over a social media overview. So this will have some tips and tricks to optimize your time on social media. There's three things that you want to have with you in front of you. One would be our course outline that we emailed earlier today. Another one being your homework checklist and startup checklist for social media. And then the third being your social media and digital marketing tool packet that is when you come on board here at the Waller Group. So first, let's go through our outline. And I wanted to give you a fundamental overview of social media and what it's about. Where so many agents, they get too involved in the details and they forget the basics, which is matching a buyer with a seller and the basics of creating contacts and engagement. So that's the whole point of social media is, are you creating valuable contacts and engagement? In order to do that, then you need to be putting out things that are of value online and call to action online. Just like the rest of your marketing, you always want to have a call to action and you always want to convey value. So the way you create the most value is by having it as specific to your client base as possible. So if your demographic are all 30 to 40-year-olds, then they're probably having kids. They're probably moving up in their careers. There's specific things that will relate to certain age groups. But the easiest, as we always explain in the brokerage, your easiest way to target specifically is through your geo farm and through people that live in a specific area. So a lot of the things that we talk about today are going to relate to local content. How do you find local content? What is it that's relative to people that are in your demographic? And targeting those people specifically. So I want to first talk a little bit about the pitfalls that I see some agents fall in and some traps that agents fall in, is that they'll spend too much time on the social side of social media and they forget the strategic value of social media, which are the things that we just talked about. You know, talking about last night's beer bust or something that's going on personally with someone is not a good use of time. People also want to see positive comments and positive information on social media. So make sure that you're patrolling your social media, that you're really focused on the positive aspects of any articles or any stories that may be relative to your demographic. So the other thing that the most agents use that has worked for other agents is keeping in mind, again, the fundamentals of credibility. So are you conveying credibility online? It's, as we always say, the biggest challenge that agents have in the business is, how do I establish credibility with my geographic farm and with my sphere of influence? So one of the ways that you do that is through just listed cards, just sold cards uploaded online, things that you're selling, experiences that you're having day to day in the marketplace. You know, you just got an offer awarded for a buyer and you're competing with 8 other offers and you were able to get it for your buyer. That is newsworthy. That's something that enhances your credibility, that's interesting, that's going on. You would need to share that on social media. You have a first-time home buyer closing you just attended today and you are so excited to see them, you know, with some of the things that you did to go above and beyond, our free moving services, etc., or what was good for them. And then what's most powerful is not when you say it, but when the client says it. So when you have a testimonial from a prospective seller or a past client or someone that you're currently working with, and they say, yeah, you know, Johnny got us this house and it was a for sale by owner and he found it for us, and we would have never found this house if it wasn't for him looking for other properties outside of the MLS. That's another thing that you really want to convey on social media, is all the properties that are happening off the MLS. So the MLS has the leftovers, you know, the properties that the best agents are leaving behind. The best agents are out there cultivating for sale by owners and coming soon properties and their Facebook groups and other brokerage inventory and their I have a buyer postcards and community campaigns that's driving more inventory. So so many times it's like an auction with the ones that are in the MLS. Okay, so credibility 1, engagement number 2, creating the engagement. So something that's emotional and emotional appeal. Humor also creates engagement. So sprinkling in a general rule of thumb is for every um, for 1 out of 4 of your posts or your updates needs to relate to business. So 1 to 3 of your posts or updates need to relate to business. You don't want too much that's personal on your business page. You want 3 out of 4 that are business, 1 that may be humorous, or 1 that may be not related to business. To where on your personal page, it's almost the other way around. About 3 out of 4 will be personal and 1 that relates to business. So whether it's a client, etc. So think about that as a rule of thumb. The third thing is top of mind. How do I remain top of mind with my clients? And that's where constant consistency is important on your social media campaigns and strategy, just like on your direct mail strategy. So lots of parallels between direct mail marketing and social media marketing. The difference is social media is free or extremely cheap. So that's some big advantages there. So it's staying top of mind, and just set your reminders in your Outlook to, whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, to do certain things and be consistent with your posts, whether it's Foreclosure Friday, whether it's Value Tuesdays, or whatever you want to stick with. And then stalking or investigating. So this is something that in your geographic farm, you can find, look at these homeowners and find out on LinkedIn, friend their profiles on LinkedIn, on Facebook, find out what they like, what they're into, find out if they have, what are the moving indicators, the patterns, the moving predictors are divorce or family additions, like more kids. So a lot of personal things will be on their Facebook. So make sure you know what's going on with them. And sometimes that does take a little bit of investigating or stalking online. So those the things that we look for are life changes. And then how to target these people, of course, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and different groups. So we'll go through that in our social media packet a little bit. So let's go through the basics of the social media packet now. And I'm just going to highlight some of these things and give you some tips around some of these things. So on the LinkedIn profile, one of the things that you'll look for groups of, not just groups in your geographic area, but groups of people. If you practice yoga, then yoga groups, whatever is within your sphere of influence, interest levels. So make sure you find other groups, whether it's investors, whether it's CPAs, or there's all kinds of groups, to make sure you're finding those small business owners or groups. You are a small business owner effectively. Employees, HR managers, companies that are in your geographic area. So if there's major corporations or businesses in your area, find a lot of them have internal groups. Find those groups and find out if they live nearby, and how you can create engagement with those people. People buy from people they like and that they're familiar with or that they relate to. So make sure that your posts are relative on these groups to what they apply for. Another important tip is write recommendations for others, then ask them to write a recommendation for you. So on LinkedIn, this is especially important. I would suggest you write 8 or 10 recommendations for your friends or past clients. And then after you complete those endorsements or recommendations, then ask them to write a recommendation for you. That enhances your credibility. Many times when someone Googles a name or they Google a realtor, your LinkedIn profile is the first thing that shows up. So if you don't have any endorsements, or if you don't have any recommendations, then that could be less favorable than your competition. So make sure that you're first giving recommendations before you ask for recommendations. Relocating employees, companies that are hiring, think about that in your geographic area and strategically target those people. But just friending them on Facebook and just connecting with them on LinkedIn doesn't cut it. You have to develop relationships, and that takes follow-up. So make sure that in your Outlook or whatever CRM system you're doing, or even if it's just a notepad, that you're writing it down and then you're putting the follow-up date. So make sure everything you do online, when it comes to individual relationship building, does not do very much good unless you have a follow-up date attached to that and you're consistently following up with that person. So Facebook. So some of the Facebook things that have been effective with other agents, probably the most effective Facebook return on investment that agents are getting across the nation I talked to 2 trainers and brokers just this week that this is where they're putting the majority of their money and their training. And that is your seller page, which you guys all have your own seller page free, thanks to us, that's on conversion. So that is a very powerful, it's a very good tool for you guys to use. You need to be promoting that page on Facebook, and those are links that will drive listing inquiries and CMA inquiries, home valuations, and that is the if you have a seller squeeze page, then that's what that does, is that you can advertise that on Facebook in your zip code or in your geographic area or in areas that you want to develop listing business. And just that tip alone should earn you a listing a month, just from, if you have it. But to keep in mind, those people that are asking for CMA requests on your seller page and that are clicking on your Facebook news feed when that shows up in the promoted post, then you have to follow up with them. If you just complete evaluation immediately and then forget about it and they say, no, I'm not interested in selling, then you're wasting your money. You have to have a follow-up campaign in place. And through conversion, thanks to conversion, they do have campaigns, drip campaigns for those every time someone enrolls in that instant CMA, the instant home valuation. But it's important that you're following up with a phone call and maybe even door knocking those people and mailing them a handwritten note. Actually, conversion mails them a handwritten note. So there's a lot of things that conversion does. So make sure you take the training. But that one tip alone should generate you a listing a month if you just consistently do that. It's extremely inexpensive to do Facebook promoted posts. And keep in mind, there's the buyer post you can do for free, but you don't necessarily need more buyers in this market. You need to focus on listings. So the other things that could help with your Facebook are monthly sales updates. I did just a mass email yesterday, and this is another way that you can be very effective with your time. Is I emailed my database and top producer. I had 5 inquiries, and then a buyer that they want to buy at 350,000. So that was all within 20 minutes, and so it was a 2-sentence email. I just pulled the March sales numbers in Uptown, and the property values were up. I think it's 23% from last year for condo and townhome. For East Dallas, it's up, I think it's 18 or 17% from last year, the biggest increases we've ever seen. And so I wanted to share that with people. That's really incredible information. And so I said, let me know if you want to know how this affects any home buying or selling decision that you may be making in the next few months. And sure enough, I had a lot of people that were very curious. They are thinking about it, or maybe they are thinking of moving up, or they're glad they purchased when they did. Thank you for helping us when you did. So those are the things that create engagement, and it's short, concise sentences like that go out to a large base. In the conversion training, one of the first things that you'll learn in the conversion training is Monday check-ins. Send a mass text message through conversion, through your buyers in conversion. Send a mass text message to your sellers in conversion every Monday just to check in. Hey, I'm just checking in. Has anything changed with your criteria? Just checking in. Are you still thinking about, are you curious about how much the value of your home's changed in the last few weeks? We just got March numbers in. These are very short, concise text messages or sentences that you can send to your entire database in conversion. But if you're not taking the training, you will not be able to take advantage of those benefits. So make sure they have free training every day at 1 o'clock. Every one of you guys should be taking that and doing these things, at least the Monday check-ins. Household tips are great, are also great. Vendor recommendations, who you recommend for vendors, community events, home improvement ideas, what's the recoup costs that they can have. Just take bits and pieces of your seller's guide or your buyer's guide and put that into Facebook occasionally, and just upload that once a month. Have something visual that you put in there that's a JPEG from the Facebook, from the seller's or buyer's guide. There's lots of great information in there. Ask business owners to endorse you after you first endorse that business, or you put something positive on that business page. Make sure you're you're giving before you ask to receive when it comes to anything that's online socially. Twitter, I don't really use that personally, so I don't have much to say on that. Trulia, make sure, Trulia and Zillow both, they're always trying to sell leads. Make sure that you guys understand the difference between a lead and a registration. Trulia and Zillow and most of these companies will call them leads, but they're really just registrations. So people that are registering for a buyer search, and keep in mind, you don't really need more buyers in this market. You need more inventory. You need more sellers. So you need to complete your profiles on Trulia and Zillow and make sure that you're asking for reviews. There's a very simple link to get to that you can send out to your past clients or to your sphere of influence asking for reviews on Zillow. They don't necessarily have to be a past closed sale for someone to review you on Zillow. What is it that people want? Credibility. What is it that the consumers want and the agent is credibility? They just want to make sure you're a trustworthy person. It doesn't mean that you have to have sold a specific property on Zillow. So that can come from your friends, that can come from your family, that can come from anyone that will complete a review on you. So think about that. The FSBO Z estimates, you can help them increase their values on their Z estimates. A lot of these Z estimates they were too high. Now some of them are a little bit low. Your FSBO signups and registrations, make sure that you're registering and you're signed up for all the FSBO alerts in Zillow. That's a pretty comprehensive list of properties. The coming soon properties, make sure in your GeoFarm you're also signed up for the coming soon properties and the make me moves. That's a lot of inventory that's not in the MLS yet. Other agents are doing that. You need to be doing the same thing on your listings, and you need to be doing the same thing for your buyers that you're representing. You are not representing your buyers unless you're finding additional inventory for them. And Zillow is one of the many ways to find additional inventory for your buyers. So you're not just your I have a buyer campaign, but the FSBOs and the coming soon on there. Sometimes it's less competitive on those properties when you're making offer. And think about it, it's like taking candy from a kid. These Zillows, these FSBOs on there, when they don't have representation, when they don't have a listing agent, it's a lot easier for you to negotiate, especially when you're not competing. So take advantage of that. Nextdoor.com, fantastic website. So I would set up also reminders to contribute on Nextdoor.com. Vendor recommendations are great contributions. Asking for vendor recommendations if you need a handyman, if you need a plumber, things like that. Nextdoor.com is a great way to find those for your GeoFarm. Community improvement efforts. What are you doing to maybe a community improvement drive, a street sign drive, the flower bed at the entrance of the community, things like that can all be posted, and you can create engagement through the others in the community on Nextdoor.com. So use that. It's a fantastic tool. Realtor.com, as you guys know, we spend thousands of dollars every month on Realtor.com leads. Part of that is because we've found that they're the only ones between the 4 big lead providers, which is Homes.com, Realtor.com, Zillow, and Trulia, that are actually leads. So they're the only ones that are actually inquiries, to where Trulia, Zillow, a lot of these others, these are registrations, and they're selling those registrations to multiple agents. So keep that in mind. Yelp is fantastic. It's like a yellow pages online. So Yelp, I know a San Francisco agent, she gets 8 to 10 buyers a month from Yelp. We've had property management clients find us just from Yelp. So your reviews on Yelp are extremely important. For the review to be recognized, then it has to be from either an elite Yelper or someone that makes consistent contributions. So if you're asking your friends to fill out a review on Yelp and they don't normally do it for businesses, it won't stick and it's not really effective. So don't waste your time unless it's another person that consistently gives reviews. And a lot of times the people that do consistently give reviews are sales professionals, or they're people that are in the sales business. So what do you need to be doing? First, reviewing them or finding out how you can help them before you ask them to review you. Okay, so Instagram, that's one of the fastest growing sites. So there's a lot that's happening on Instagram. Another must do, kind of something that's for sure, is Google Places. Make sure that you register your home office on Google Places. And keep in mind, I see agents make this mistake all the time. They'll say, Sally Jones, your local realtor, on Google Places. If people are searching for Lakewood real estate, do you think Sally Jones, it's going to matter, or there's going to be a correlation? No, they are looking for Lakewood real estate for sale or Lakewood homes for sale. So make sure that you're registering your name as Lakewood Homes for Sale, or the name of that search. So that's real important when you're registering on Google Places. Pinterest, Google Plus, YouTube. Make sure I probably spend an hour a day watching YouTube, different forums, different educational things, different subscriptions. Wharton Business School, Harvard Business School, Google has these amazing lectures twice a week, and they have these incredible people from around the world come to the Google campuses and talk. So you can subscribe to all of that. It's free and it's wonderful, wonderful information. As a minimum, you should subscribe to MFO, the Mike Ferry organization, yourcoach.com, which is Tom Ferry organization, Neil Schwartz TV, Brian Buffini. There's a lot of great real estate trainers out there that's free television for you guys to watch. Now, sometimes at night, my head's kind of worn out. It's hard for me to think, but yet I can watch TV, so I might as well make it educational, where it's entertaining and interesting and educational. So I would encourage you, when your brain is fried at the end of the night, to watch something educational on YouTube. Okay, moving on to conversion. This, as I mentioned, if there's nothing else that you take away from this training today, make sure that you're enrolled in the hour training sessions with conversion almost every day. They used to offer them only on Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock. Now they're at 1 o'clock almost every day of the week that they're offering training free for you guys. And it's on the realbusy.com website. That's a website dedicated for conversion users. So as a minimum, you need to have a seller squeeze page, and you need to be marketing that seller page on your to your Facebook group and on your social media, to your geo farm. And I would spend some money on promoted posts, and so it shows up in the news feed, not on the right side, but in your news feed of in your geo farm, in your zip code. So probably in your, even if it's outside of your geo farm and it's your zip code, the seller page is real important. You should be able to generate almost a listing a month from that if you're consistently following up. Keep in mind, you have to follow up a period of 6 weeks to 8 weeks minimum, because these are very cold leads, but they're so cheap to acquire. It's much less expensive than direct mail. It's sending the same message as direct mail. And also maybe put intermittently ads of I have a buyer. Put the buyer criteria up and make that a Facebook promoted post as well. Keep in mind, guys, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's about credibility. And it's about your call to action. How strong is your call to action? Okay, so the conversion is where I would make sure that you're spending just at least some time on the training every week. And I would not so much on buyers, but on sellers. Every broker, every trainer out there right now, they're just focused on any dime that you spend needs to be on listing business development. Okay, social media checklist. We're moving on to the Waller Group social media checklist. I'm trying to keep this pretty simple. These are just, the first ones are pretty explanatory, but then let's go through your homework. So this is suggested homework. This is what I would say would be for a new agent, or for someone just as a minimum homework to drive an additional transaction a month just through your social media. So some of this is on the borderline social media, but it's just basic things that you need to be doing. Okay, so your conversion.com training, add those training sessions to your calendar. Put them on your Outlook calendar and attend at least 2 hours a week as a minimum. Advertise your conversion seller page on Facebook and follow conversion listing training to generate at least a listing a month. But it's not going to be the first month. It's going to take time. It's going to take 6 to 8 weeks for those to mature, for you to follow up with those. Sign up for Zillow.com FSBO registrations for your GeoFarm city and possibly surrounding cities. Sign up for coming soon notices as well to ensure comprehensive buyer searches. So that's for your buyers. Make sure you're representing your buyers well. Complete the Google Places registration for your home office and name it as if a buyer is searching in the area, such as Lakewood Homes for Sale. Make sure you verify through the Google postcard or text message. If you don't complete the verification in the postcard, then you won't show up on the Google Places. Write 8 recommendations on LinkedIn in friends or your sphere of influence. Then ask them to recommend you. Other salespeople outside of the industry are good candidates for this. Number 6, request 10 reviews from friends or past clients by sending them the Zillow review request link. There's a specific link that you can find after you complete your bio on Zillow to send out for those reviews. Don't spend a dime on Zillow marketing unless you have enough reviews for it to work. So you have to go to your zip code, see what the average review is per agent on that right-hand side. Some of these agents now have 20, 50, 100 reviews. So until you're close to that, I wouldn't be spending very much money on any of that marketing. Your best return on investment from what we've seen on our first quarter and from what I've seen talking to other brokers, like I said, has been on Facebook promoted posts and finding listings that way and completing valuations that way. Subscribe to local media publications such as the dbj.com, that's the Dallas Business Journal, dallasnews.com, eater.com, Culture Map, Downtown Dallas. There's so many that, keep in mind, I'm in Dallas in the urban area. So what I subscribe to, my subscriptions all have to do with my geographic area and economic development and our regional chamber. With you, if you're in Forney, if you're in Grand Prairie, if you're in other markets, make sure you find out the Grand Prairie City Council, what's going on with your city council. And City of Dallas send out notices, so I get notices when there's a city council meeting or if there's a change with zoning, if there's changes with going on at City Hall. So the local city hall in your city should have the same type of notices. If not, just make it on your calendar a point to attend certain meetings at City Hall or find out what's going on, so that way you can convey that information online to your local people. But those local news feeds are important. Okay, number 9, visit 5 builder communities and video or photograph coming soon properties through your social media networks and or client base as an example of off-market properties you've identified for your clients not available in the MLS. Keep in mind, you have to be perceived as a resource for properties. So in this hot market, and it's going to get a lot hotter over the summer, guys, it's going to get a lot tougher over the summer to find property. So make sure that the perception from your social media friends is that you can find properties that other agents can't. And this is what you're doing to find other properties. So you have coming soon properties that other agents don't have. You have open houses on properties that are not in the MLS that other agents can't find. You have access to for sale by owners, whether you video a deal for sale by owner that is for a friend of yours, or if it's new construction is some of the easiest because most builders only list something as a sampling, and then they have a lot of others that are coming up soon. A lot of these builders in the in-town market and in the area that I'm in, they're not even listing their product because they're selling it, they're contracting it at framing stage. So before they even have drywall up, they're taking contracts on these things. I have one this afternoon that I'm showing. It's a building that, that's not, the unit's being leased for another 2 months, but my buyer sees where the market's going. So she wants to get something under contract now, even though this thing won't even be available for move-in for 2 to 4 months. So that's the kind of urgency you need to be establishing with your clients as we move into this hot market. All right, that wraps up our overview social media. Thank you for joining me, and feel free to call me with any questions or let me know any stumbling blocks that you have or challenges, or of course, I'm always looking for improvements, how we can enhance our training. Thanks so much, guys.